Hey, welcome back to that 70s card show. My name is John Keating, and I thank you for joining me as I took a look back at the cards and the culture of the very colorful 1970s. We'll revisit a more simple time in our hobby by taking a deep dive into the sets and the stats with a generous amount of dad facts sprinkled in. That 70s card show is currently sponsored by nobody. If you have a comment or suggestion, I urge you to drop me a line at that 70s card show at gmail.com. That 70s card show on YouTube or 70s card on Twitter. Way back in 67, I was the dandy of Gamma Chi. Sweet things from Boston. So young and willing, moved down to Scarsdale. Where the hell am I? Hey, 19. So in my mind, I do a lot of word association. So how did we get to episode 67, focusing on the number 19? Well, there you go. Steely Dan released Hey 19 in November 1980. Of course, the Phillies were hot off celebrating their first ever world championship at that point, and not quite the 1970s, but it was a nice wrap up of the wonderful decade. I feel like 1980 was just a celebration of the complete 1970s. At least it was in my mind. So here we are, episode 67. We're going to talk about the finest players that wore the number 19 in the 1970s. Now, not sure who you guys think of when you think of players who wore number 19. There's been some dandies, that's for sure. But in the 70s, I've narrowed it down to four great players, and we're going to talk about them right now, of course. So this is a guy who had a very long career. We're going to start out with a guy who had a very long career and probably under the radar career as well. I don't like to use the term underrated because I believe most people and most things are rated appropriately. But old Bert Campaneris was wore number 19 through most of his career, whether it was with the A's of Kansas City or Oakland, the Texas Rangers, the California Angels, or the New York Yankees. Well, that's a lie there because in New York, he wore number 56, which is an interesting choice. And I can't talk to him about that because he's not here. But we're going to talk about Bert, number 19. Solid player. Did everything you wanted from a shortstop and more back in the day. Bert Campaneris was a 5'10", 160-pound shortstop who batted right, threw right, played shortstop again for those A's, the Angels, the Rangers, and the eventual New York Yankees organization. Born in 1942 on the 9th of March. He made his major league debut at the age of 22 on July 23rd, 1964. What a debut it was versus the Minnesota Twins. For the Kansas City Athletics, he had 4 at-bats, 3 hits, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, and 1 stolen base. How could you not fall in love with this guy instantly? Last game he played was October 1st, 1983 for the Bronx Bombers, age 41. 0 at-bats, 0 hits, 0 home runs, 0 RBIs, and 0 stolen bases. So probably a pinch runner or pinch glover in that game. Dagoberto Campaneris is his given name, nickname, of course, Campy. He is a cousin of part of the 1970s, a member of the 1970s All-Fro team, Jose Cardenal, born in Pueblo Nuevo, Cuba. Campy, thank you for coming into our lives. 53 career WAR, 8,684 at bats, 2,249 hits. It's a pretty solid total from a guy who was supposed to be all glove. 259 out of 1,000 batting average, if you want to go about that, or 0.259 out of 1.000. For those who are a lot brighter than I am, 1,181 runs scored, 649 stolen bases. Quite a lot of stolen bases for sure. 64 to 83, like we said. starter from 65 to 1977. Now, Campy is a 3-time World Series winner with the Amazing A's and a 6-time All-Star as well. One time he was an All-Star with the Texas Rangers, in fact. Led the league in stolen bases 6 times, so he was a speedster. Stole 54 bases one year and still didn't lead the league, so he could burn. Again, 649 stolen bases, nearly 200 caught stealing at 199. 13 years in Oakland, 3 years with Texas, 3 years with California, and again, 1 year with the New York Yankees. Let's talk a little bit about Campy's card, shall we? Campy, although he did not debut in the 1970s, we're going to show his beautiful 1965 debut, Topps card number 266. Bert Campaneris has his blue KC Athletics hat on. Nice smile. He actually looks older in his rookie card than he looks in many of his subsequent cards. Kansas City Athletics banner proudly waving in the bottom left of the card. Left of the card. He's depicted as a shortstop dash outfielder, and a huge Topps 1964 All Rookie trophy at the bottom right of the card. It's a great card. 65 set is a great set, as we know. And the cartoon on the back of his debut card says Bert was named to the 1964 All-Star Rookie Team. We can read a little of his bio here if you want from the back of that debut card. The young shortstop outfielder was brought up by the Athletics midway during the 1964 campaign. Bert broke in with a bang by tying an all-time Major League record by hitting 2 home runs in his debut game. Campy can play at third base too. I'm going to go check that out here. So stand by while I check out his fielding stats, and we'll see what old Bert Campaneris did. 2,097 games at shortstop, 76 games at third base. So they weren't lying about that. 69 total games in outfield, 36 games as a second baseman. Bert Campaneris was a designated hitter for 13 games. That's pretty amazing, too. So, yeah, that's that. He even pitched a game, too, if you want to count that. So, pitch, you say? Yes, pitch. 1965 for the Athletics. Bert Campaneris pitched 1 inning, gave up 1 hit, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 1 strikeout. He faced 5 batters. So that is a 9.00 career earned run average for Bert Campaneris, but he did strike somebody out. So guy could do it all, right? For sure. The only thing he can't do, I guess, is catch. So moving on to the 70s with Campy. Campy, of course, wonderful cards, 70, 71, 72. He's got that old A's vest on with the green sleeves, solid green hat. Love that hat for sure. Might have to get me one of them. 70, he's depicted in full A's regalia at Yankee Stadium. 71, perhaps spring training, or that even might be Seattle Stadium, or I don't know. That looks like a semi-major league stadium behind him. Just don't know where it is. 72, he is at spring training. He is working on his bunting in that picture. Again, white vest, green sleeves. Love it. 73, we start to get a little bolder there. Old Bert Campaneris behind the batting cage, practicing his right-handed batter posture. He's wearing his green A's cap with the yellow bill. He's got his yellow A's jersey on with the green stripes around his bulging biceps, and the white pants with the very elegant and tasteful green and yellow piping running feverishly down his legs on each side. Great avatar on that 73 card, as we know, shortstop scooping up the ball, getting ready to probably turn a double play or throw directly to first base. We don't know. We'll never know. But the 73 card is really a beautiful card, and the first one out of this bunch that screams the 1970s. Depicted, again, behind the batting cage at Oakland Alameda County Stadium, the home of at least 3 world championships in the 70s, perhaps more if you count the Oakland Raiders. Moving on to 74 and 75. Bert's back at spring training, kind of staring down whomever might have the gall to throw a baseball at him while he has a bat in his hand. Same uniform as 73. Again, we're in spring training, perhaps Arizona back then. Bert Campaneris. Beautiful card. Yellow piping around his photo on top of a white border. And, of course, the Oakland and the A's banners, diagonal opposites on the front of the card. Just a gorgeous card. Now, 1975 card is Gorgiamundo. If 74 is gorgeous, Gorgiamundo is what we call 75. Predominant yellow border at the top and red border at the bottom. The A's are drop shadowed blue with a black drop shadow. Bert Campaneris spelled out prominently in all cap letters. We even have ourselves a nice facsimile autograph running across the bottom of that card, and top it off, a big white Patrick the Star, AL All-Star shortstop icon at the bottom of the card. Now, if you want to call me a freak, you can, but I love dugouts, and this is a card from the first time I saw it in the mid-70s that I loved. Bert Campaneris is perched on the top of dugout with a foobar of catcher's equipment to his left. Actually, he perhaps in front of him as well, but he's wearing his satin green A's jacket. Lots and lots and lots of green stirrup socks in full view. And he's got his hands wrapped around his knees. Is he stretching? No, I don't think he's stretching. I think he's just comfortable there. And anyway, I've always loved dugouts, and I've always held it against Pittsburgh, Three River Stadium, Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, and Seattle's Kingdome for not having real dugouts. In fact, when I was a kid, I'd run up and down steps pretending I was either heading into a dugout or coming out of a dugout. It was just a thing I did. And what better way to take the field than to run up the steps and out onto the field, or perhaps after a really crappy showing on the mound, racing down the steps with your glove to throw at a belligerent cooler that is in your way, scattering cups and liquids everywhere. Anyway, love this card. Sorry, I went somewhere I should not have. Beautiful card. Fascinated with this card since the mid-70s. I love it. I love it. I love it. Moving on to non-greener pastures, we're going to go 76 to 79 here. 76 is a repeat AL All-Star shortstop at the bottom of the card. This is a beautiful card too. White border, more green, more yellow piping. Bert Campaneris on a written in white on a green bar, and below that the A's in black on top of a yellow bar. We love the 76 set, and this is a great card. Campy can't practice bunting enough, apparently. He's going to get on base whether you like it or not. Green shirt this time with yellow, three yellow stripes on each bicep. So Campy would move on to, and I call him Campy like we're friends. I feel like we're friends by this point. Campy would move on to the Texas Rangers in 1977. Now, before we get into this, if you were to be so bold as to do a Bert Campaneris complete player run in Topps alone, boy, you would really be in for a treat, because this guy has everything to his name. Just in the base cards, he has all-star cards. He has postseason cards. He has league leader cards. He's got it all. He pretty much was on all that test stuff in the 60s and 70s as well. So there's so many Bert Campaneris cards out there. It'd be fun to see somebody do a player run of his. I would watch. I like to watch, and I would watch this stuff because he did it all. He was on everything, literally and figuratively. He was the big star coming out of the 60s, I think, for the A's. He was established again, starting from 65 on. So he was kind of the poster boy for any A's cards or any cards that needed an A's player. And 77 is no exception. And why do I say that? Well, guess what? We have a airbrushed Bert Campaneris card. Campaneris left the A's, went to the Rangers. It's kind of a not very pretty card. It's a white bordered card. Rangers are in yellow. Bert Campaneris' name is in pink, and his position has a blue banner. So it's a bit of a clash of non-exciting colors with a lot of white as well. But Campy is airbrushed, full-blown, and his facsimile autograph appears after 1 year absence at the bottom. Texas Rangers, airbrushed blue cap, airbrushed collar, and Bert Campaneris is officially a Ranger. Now, 1978, he would rally and give us a lot better card. He's got the powder blues of the Texas Rangers. Bert Campaneris is done bunting. He wants you to know that he is serious with the bat. So those powder blues, that bat swinging, full beauty there in Yankee Stadium back in the mid to late 70s. Now in 79, he closes out his 70s player run back at spring training. Some beautiful puffy clouds in the background, black bat this time. So if 78 was not intimidating enough, he's gotten himself a black bat to show you he is dead serious about putting the ball in play. 79, of course, we like to talk about the Topps logo making its first appearance on the front of a card. A crappy set all around, in my opinion, other than that beautiful Topps logo, classic Topps logo, depicted within a baseball on the bottom left of the card. Bert Campaneris, again, is a Ranger player. He's wearing his Ranger whites, red, white, and blue all throughout. And his, Bert Campaneris had a long name, and they would put that name on the back of his uniform. And it essentially went from trapezius to other trapezius across his back. And you can barely see half of his regular uniform number. You see the 1 out of the 19. So Bert Campaneris, at that point, a Ranger, and ready to go and close out the 1970s. So let's move on to our next player. I'm from Philadelphia, if that's not obvious enough by my wonderful accent. To me, and people like me, number 19 will always be associated with Gregory Michael Lazinski. We call him the Bull, okay? And if you were a baseball, he wanted to crush you. And if you were a piece of meat, he wanted to eat you. The Bull, in my ancient mind, was about 5'3", 300 pounds. But truth be told, the guy was 6'1", 220. He looked like he was not a baseball player. In fact, I don't know what we could call him, but he had a very interesting body. He had... I guess his quad muscles were in his calves, his back muscles were in his legs, and his arms were I don't know what was going on with his arms. So the guy was like just one big, like, solid piece of beef, and he was a heck of a player, that's for sure. We're going to talk about Greg Lazinski right now. Born November 22nd, 1950. In Chicago, Illinois. In fact, his goal was to be a Chicago Cubs player. It would not be, because he was drafted in the first round of the 1968 amateur draft. Drafted 11th overall out of Notre Dame High School in Niles, Illinois. Made his debut as a 19-year-old, September 9th, 1970. He had one at bat and nothing to show for it. He would last play September 24th, 1984. Unfortunately, by that point, nobody was watching because it was probably back in Chicago. But he retired at the age of 33, which is interesting to me. He probably had some more years to go, but I think he was ravaged by injuries at that point. Greg Lazinski, again, 70 debut. He is a 5-star 1970s baseball player, having played all 10 seasons of the 70s. Now, Greg would really, really get going there in the mid-70s when in the 75, 34 home runs, 120 RBIs, and he batted 300. He would bat 304 in 76, 309 in 77. So 77 was probably his best year. Finished second in the AL MVP like he did in 75. But 77, he had 35 home runs. I'm sorry, 77, he had 39 home runs and 130 RBIs, both career highs, by the way. So he would finish with 307 home runs, 1,128 RBIs, 37 stolen bases. That's 3 and a 7. 37 stolen bases, 1,795 hits, 880 runs scored. Now, unfortunately, the Bull had a little bit of a low WAR right there. He's 26.2 as compared to Campaneris, who was at about 54 WAR for a career. I don't know what that means, but everybody talks about it now. But it seems like if your WAR is half of what Bert Campaneris' WAR is, then perhaps Bert Campaneris was a lot more valuable than to his team, even though the Bull could drive in those runs and hit those home runs for sure. Greg Luzinski was a bit of a defensive liability, and as a Chitlin, I would sit there in awe at the first base, behind the first base dugout, stare out in the left field, and see Greg Luzinski about 20 feet from the left field line, and he would be positioned facing the left field bleachers, so essentially facing that left field foul line with the entire left field, center field, right field behind him. Not a care to the world. Of course, when you have Gary Maddox playing center field, you really only need to cover the territory from the foul line to about 20 feet in. And the Bull did that, but I think that also cost the Philadelphia Phillies a chance to play in the World Series one year, often replaced by Jerry Martin or some other player out there in left field, was the Bull. The Bull had a wonderful several postseasons. In fact, his for the Phillies, his batting average for the NLCSs he played in was 310. Had a career 310 batting average in the 4 NLCSs that he played. Unfortunately, he was a big goose egg in the World Series. 0 hits in 9 at-bats in 3 games. But he did get a ring playing for those Philadelphia Phillies. 1980, he was a 4-time All-Star. And incidentally, he wore number 42 when he came up to play for the Phillies that first fine fall in 1970. Let's talk his baseball cards, if you don't mind. His first baseball card was the wonderful 1971 Topps baseball set. 1971 Rookie Stars Phillies, Greg Luzinski, first baseman. Yes, first baseman. Wearing a classic P, not yet a fat P, so it's the classic P of the 1960s. And he shares a card with Scott Reed, an outfielder who never really did anything, I suppose. Greg Luzinski says first base on there. Again, 6'1", 220, all that stuff. A 2-time Topps Player of the Month award winner. Greg led Eastern League in batting, runs, total bases, and RBIs in 1970. You should see this guy's minor league years. He had a year at AA in Reading where he had 33 home runs, 120 RBIs, and a 325 batting average. And then he followed that up in 71, AAA, Eugene, Oregon. 36 home runs, 114 RBIs, and a 312 batting average. So he wasn't messing around in the minor leagues. He put everybody on notice. The Bull did. Moving on to his next batch of cards. 72, 73, 74, 75. 72 has him. It's a bat card. Of course, 1970 had a lot of bat rack cards, but 1970, there is a shopping cart full of bats behind Greg Luzinski, but he's extending his glove in peace to the cameraman. He is wearing a number 42 in that picture, and he's wearing the fat P of the 70s that we came to love as Phillies fans. 73, he's depicted as an outfielder at bat at Veterans Stadium in the home white pinstripes. Wonderful action shot there. You can see the Phillies dugout behind him, and further up on the road is kind of where we sat when we would go to games in the 70s. Right there, Greg Luzinski, Philadelphia Phillies outfielder. 74 is an awesome photo of Greg Luzinski. One of the things we love about the 74 set is the team color theme that Topps used. Philadelphia Phillies in a red bed in white. Greg Luzinski is wearing his powder blues. He's sitting in a dugout. I like dugouts. And powder blues, number 19. And there's some helmets behind him. And interestingly enough, there is a helmet for a left-handed player with a ear cover over there, which wasn't very well known back in 1973, or very well used back in 1973 when that photo was most likely taken. One thing I love about this shot here is the zippered Philadelphia Phillies road uniforms. 1975, we move on to a colorama orgy for the eyes. Yellow, bright yellow top border, powder blue bottom border. Phillies in pink in that drop shadow that we love to talk about. Greg Luzinski is posed in front of the Phillies visiting dugout at Shea Stadium, yellow batting glove in hand, powder blues again, and he's going to hit the ball, or he's going to grab a hot dog and beer in the stands. He has not quite decided yet, but the Bull's ready to go. Moving on to the next batch of cards. 77 is when we would see Luzinski's first NL All-Stars card, the first of 3 in a row, it appears. He's in his powder blues again. I think maybe he might be in Shea Stadium again. He's got his something in his cheek. I'm not sure what that is. And I'm talking about his upper cheeks, not his lower cheeks. Although his lower cheeks are bulging as well, perhaps a batting glove or something in his back pocket. Phillies in pink on the white border. Greg Luzinski in green. Outfielder, yellow banner. A little easier to look at than Bert Campaneris' card. There's that dreaded cooler in the background in the dugout of the Mets, ready to be walloped with a glove, probably thrown or punched by a pitcher using their pitching hand, which never made sense to me. I've included into this little cornucopia of cards picture of Greg Luzinski in the 77 Hostess card, Philadelphia Phillies warm-up jacket zipped near to his Adam's apple, and he's got a batting helmet on as well. But what I found I loved about this card the most was his mustache. He's got a mustache. I never saw Greg Luzinski with a mustache. Here he is, 77 Hostess and or Twinkies card. 78, moving on, we're back to Shea Stadium. The Bull's a little bigger. He's a little more cautious, as this time around at Shea Stadium, he has an undershirt on, so he's not taking a risk. Perhaps it was cold or flu season. He has a NL All-Star outfield shield in the upper right part of the corner card there. Good-looking card, beautiful card. Green border, white border, green piping around that, and the Phillies scripted out there for us on the left. The Bull would wrap up the 79 with a card that only Prince would love. And that is, again, that Topps logo that I love, NL All-Star, purple bar with pink lettering in it. Phillies in purple banner, Phillies spelled out in white, and sandwiched in between that is Greg Luzinski's name in either pink or purple. The Bull again, I don't know what's up with this, but the Bull again is on the road in his powder blues. He's smiling this time. I think he realizes the 70s were great. I'm going to miss them. 79 Topps sucks, but that's okay. 70s were great. I'm not going to swing this bat in anger, and I'm just going to enjoy the AstroTurf here at Candlestick Park. And, just I'm going to go with the flow here. So that's that. That's the Bull. And we're going to move on from Greg Luzinski. Now, this next chap is a cautionary tale, as they like to say, in Be Careful What You Wish For. Killer player here from a wicked town. Probably burst onto the scene like nobody else in the 70s. And I'll tell you, probably his biggest regret was leaving his home cooking and getting traded and demanding a trade or demanding contracts or whatever. But, of course, his name is Fred Lynn. And his real name is Frederic Michael Lynn. And before you go and want to put a K on the end of Frederic, it's not. Okay? He is a Frederic with a C, so don't you dare top that name off with a K. Fred Lynn, heck of a player, as we know. Boy, came out of the gates like his rear end was on fire. He was a 6'1", left-handed batter, left-handed thrower, 185 pounds, center fielder, born February 3rd, 1952. He was drafted by the New York Yankees, I don't know if you knew that, in the third round of the 70 draft out of El Monte High School, but he would go to USC and be drafted by the Boston Red Sox in the second round of the 1973 Major League Draft. So that 3 years of college, he improved one round. I don't know what his motivations were for that, but he went to El Monte High School in El Monte, California, and of course graduated from or went to school at Southern Cal. Made his debut at the age of 22 on September 5th, 1974. Last game played October 3rd, and in that debut, by the way, just one at bat and nothing to show for it. And same could be said for his final game, October 3rd, 1990. He was 30 years old. He was playing for the San Diego Padres at that point, and kind of, I guess, wondering where that career went for sure. Fred Lynn, 50.2 career WAR, 1,960 hits, 306 home runs, career 283 batter, scored 1,000 runs at 1063, and drove in 1,111 RBIs. Only 72 stolen bases, but this guy, many people look at his career as a disappointment, but he still put up some numbers. And again, made his debut in 74, batted .419 that September, played in 15 games, 18 hits. Not bad for a 22-year-old. 75, of course, he would break out 47 doubles, 103 runs, 105 RBIs, 21 home runs, 331 batting average, led the league in slugging, led the league in on-base plus slugging, led the league in doubles, led the league in runs, and he was a rookie that year. So he won the MVP, he won the Rookie of the Year, he was an All-Star, and he won a Gold Glove. Next year, he would settle in a little bit, only 10 home runs, but still batted .314. His real big year was 79, and this is kind of what got him into trouble. He demanded more money. He had 116 runs scored, 120 RBI, 122 RBIs, 39 home runs, batted .333 to lead the league, .423 on base. And if you lead the league in batting average and lead the league in OBP, you're going to lead the league in OPS, I guess. .637 slugging percentage, 176 OPS plus. I don't know what that means. Anyway, he was on fire in Boston, where he was an all-star for all 6 years. He played there full time. He was Gold Glove winner for 4 out of those 6 years in the MVP race and all that stuff. Rookie of the Year, MVP, 9-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glove, ALCS MVP, batting title, as we say, and All-Star Game MVP. He wore numbers 19, of course, for the Red Sox. He wore number 8 for the California Angels, and then would wear 19 for the Angels, for the Orioles again, back to 9 for the Tigers, and back to 8 for the Padres to finish out his career. Fred Lynn, again, great player, should have stayed in Boston. His rookie card is infamous, or famous, I should say. It's a 4-player card, 1975. He's on there with Ed Armbrister. He's on there with Tom Poquette and Terry Whitfield. So on the back of the card, it is just biographical information. Frederic Michael Lynn, 6'1", 185, left-handed batter, left-handed thrower, born 2/3/52 in Chicago, Illinois, and his home is Alhambra, California. One thing I want to point out here is in the 1970s, of course, we had a lot of MSA discs, and that, when I say infamous, that picture he has was used on a lot of these MSA discs in black and white and whatnot. So that picture, whomever took that picture, that appeared on more cards than probably most pictures of that era. I've even seen that 1975 redone with just that picture of him instead of a 4-player card. So they definitely got their money's worth out of that picture, whomever sold that to the baseball card companies. 76 through 79, Fred Lynn, all Red Sox cards. That 76 card features the Rookie Cup. Freddie's swinging at the plate. He's wearing that beautiful Bo Sox uniform, red helmet, dark blue brim. And he's got his stirrups up a little high there. He new breed player. And I believe he's going sans belt and has that nice polyester elastic 2-button waistband going as well. Pullovers, by the way, these Red Sox uniforms were back then. Red Sox, actually like the 77 card here because the Red Sox is in red, Fred Lynn is in green, outfield is in blue. Doesn't hurt me or my feelings or my eyes feelings. White border throughout, and he is AL All-Star red at the bottom. So that card kind of works all around, of course. Fred Lynn in 1978 would be at the batting cage in his blue windbreaker with his Red Sox hat, dangerously close to falling off, perhaps by wind. Perhaps it's because he's got a lot of hair under there, but he is barely holding that thing on. Fred looks young there. Fred looks like 1978 is going to be good, but 1979 is going to be better. And when we get to 79, again, a nice classy card. In fact, I will say these four cards are classy and well composed altogether. Fred, though, in his picture in 1979, is kind of pictured without a hat, big old hair, like he just rolled out of bed. He's got that windbreaker on underneath of his some other kind of shirt, whether it's his pullover or what. But he's just kind of staring off there into space at a ballpark that I'm not familiar with. And that's that. So Fred Lynn would leave the Boston Red Sox in 1981, I believe it is. Get traded out of there because he was demanding money, but a career that most Red Sox fans would agree was unfulfilled due to his leaving the friendly environs of Fenway Park. He loved that park, and he hit like a mother at that park, and it's a shame he had to leave that park. But baseball is a business. So moving on, perhaps the greatest player to wear the number 19 in the 1970s is a guy who also has one of the most iconic baseball cards of the 1970s. His name is Rob R Yount, and he was a 6 foot, 165-pound shortstop when he came up, and center fielder, apparently. Born September 16th, 1955, in Danville, Illinois. He was drafted by the Milwaukee Brewers in the first round, third overall, the 1973 Major League Baseball June Amateur Draft from William Howard Taft Charter High School in Woodland Hills, California. Woodland Hills is a pretty sexy place to have grown up, I should say. He made his debut April 5th, 1974. He was 18 years old when he done come up to baseball. And following a pattern of many of our favorite number 19 players, other than Bert Campaneris, one at bat and nothing to show for it. Last game, October 3rd, 1993, same thing. One at bat, nothing to show for it. He's a Hall of Famer here. Inducted in 1999. He got 385 out of the 497 ballots. Robin R. Yount. And career 77.4 WAR. Yount is an interesting guy because he really didn't get going until the 80s. I've heard stories about how he was kind of possibly even contemplating not playing baseball anymore, but kept at it and had really made a name for himself in the 80s, that's for sure. 77.4 WAR, over 11,000 at-bats, 3,142 hits, 251 of those were home runs, career 285 batting average. Check this out, 1,632 runs scored, that's a lot. 1,406 RBIs, that's a lot. 271 RBIs, that is pretty good. Hall of Famer, two-time MVP, three-time All-Star, which is interesting. Almost had the same amount of MVPs as All-Star nods. One Gold Glove, three-time Silver Slugger, Major League Player of the Year, wore number 19 throughout his career. So not a five-star 70s player, but a five-star number 19er. Again, like I said, in the 70s, has 0 awards to show for, 0 league leaders or league leading categories as well. Just kind of moseying around. I mean, he was an average hitter, never hit more than 300, and never hit more than 9 home runs. Broke out in 1980 with 49 doubles. He would lead the league twice in doubles in his career, lead the league in hits. once, lead the league in triples a couple times, slugging, OPS, etc., etc. But not much to show for it on the personal level, but he just could accumulate his stats. And he retired at a decent age of 38, so he probably could have kept going a couple more years and padded the stats, but that's not what Rob Yount was about. So let's take a look at the card, that 75 tops card. Oh boy, look at those earth tones. The Brewers are in red with the drop shadow black, but it's almost like a Burger King experience there with the orange up top and the brown border below. Shortstop facsimile signature says Rob Yount. Not sure how long he would keep up that charade. Robin Yount written in yellow below that in that field of brown. Back of his card, 75 rookie card, 223. Of course, it's him and it's George Brett. George Brett obviously gets the nod, but Robin Yount still a great card. They posed the question to us, they meaning the Tops folks, does Robin Yount have a brother? So this is 1975, and I'm not sure if that was a burning issue back in the day, but yes, he does have a brother. His name is Larry Yount. And if I'm not mistaken, and I'm always mistaken, Larry Yount was also his agent. Larry Yount would play exactly one game for the Houston Astros in 1971. Not sure what he did in that game. It says he was a pitcher. So, yeah, whatever. So Larry Yount, brother, agent, and answer to a trivia question on the back of the card. Let's hit Robin Yount's 76 through 79. And I've included the 76 SSPC card because that was taken in those lovely, powder blue, I guess you can call that. Milwaukee Brewer polyester pullovers. But they had pretty simple uniforms back then, didn't they? Sorry, Pink Floyd's playing on my phone. They had pretty simple uniforms back then. But Robin Yount is SSPC card. He's at the batting cage at Shea Stadium because, of course, Yankee Stadium was undergoing renovations that year. Moving on to his regular issue 76 set card. That shortstop avatar in the bottom left is just priceless. There's a runner sliding into a shortstop. Just a lot going on there. Robin Yount is in his white uniforms at spring training, Milwaukee, with the very simple yellow M on his blue hat. 19. Look at that. He is showing that 19 off like he is, I don't know, like he just got his braces off and he wants everybody to see. 77 card. It's probably one of the prettier 77 cards. Purple Brewers, pink Robin Yount, yellow shortstop banner. Robin's laying down a bunt. And my favorite part of that, other than the bunt, is the and the powder blues is the bright yellow, what they used to call sanitary socks underneath his stirrups. It's like I love that stuff. That's something that's missing from today's baseball game. Robin Yount, 1978, again showing off that number 19. Bless your heart, buddy. Brewers simple white uniforms again, and he looks like he is practicing his pose behind the gates of the Wisconsin State Penitentiary. That is the tallest fence I've seen in my life, and Jurassic Park does not have a fence that tall, but a beautiful card, classy, and whatnot. 79 Oakland Coliseum, we're back, and 79 cards are, again, rather bland, but for some reason, Tops love to put purple in these Brewers cards. So 76, 77, 78, and 79 have a more than daily recommended allowance of purple in the cards, but it kind of works. The Brewers would debut their new logo on this card, I guess. The multicolored hat, yellow front, blue back, blue brim, and that MB glove baseball logo on the front. Robin Yount smiling. He's got his hair all over the place. He's happy to be going into the 80s because the 70s really didn't do much for him on a professional level, but happy to be leaving the 70s and saying hello to the impending 80s. So that's that. That's four players who wore the number 19 in the baseball leagues of the 1970s, probably the 4 best players of that era. Lots of players wore 19, but these were my 4 favorite, and we saw some cards. We had some ha-has, and we enjoyed taking a look back at that stuff. So thanks for joining me this week in my journey back in time. If you have a comment or suggestion, perhaps you have a set from the 1970s you'd like to hear more about, reach out to me again at ThatSeventiesCardShow at gmail.com. That 70s Card Show on YouTube or 70s Card on Twitter. We are being played out by our friends over there at the defunct Mango Safari, which wonderful song by my nephew Ryan. Appreciate that. So that's it. That's November 2022 from Los Angeles. Hey 19, episode 67. This is me telling you to enjoy collecting and, more importantly, enjoy your collection. Have a great day. Everybody stay safe out there. Thank you. Goodbye.